I never imagined that my life could change so much in such a short time. What seemed like a stable and happy married life turned into a minefield of betrayals and lies. My name is Javier, and I want to share my story. It is a story of love, deception, and the harsh reality of facing a betrayal that I was never prepared for. My wife, Laura, and I met in college. We were classmates, and quickly became inseparable. Laura was bright, with an infectious energy that lit up any room. After we graduated, our relationship became more serious. We shared dreams, ambitions, and eventually decided to get married. We believed we had a promising future ahead of us. Laura had started working for a large company shortly after our wedding. Her job was demanding, but she always managed to find time for us. At the time, I had an office job that allowed me to be flexible with my schedule. So, we seemed to have the perfect balance. For the first few years of our marriage, everything seemed to go well. We had our routines, dinners together, weekends with friends and, eventually, the arrival of our children. However, over time, Laura started working longer hours and often came home late. At first, I didn't pay much attention to her. I thought it was just the stress of the job. But then I began to notice certain changes. Laura was more distant and tended to be more irritable. Conversations became short and her mind seemed to be elsewhere. I tried to talk to her about my concerns, but I always found evasive answers. The real change came one day when Laura left her cell phone at home. While she was at work, I decided to check her phone to see if I could find any clues as to why she was so distant. What I found was devastating. I received a series of text messages and emails between Laura and a man named Daniel. What surprised me was to discover that Daniel was not only a coworker, but he was significantly younger than Laura. It appeared that she and Daniel had an intimate relationship, and their messages revealed a deep emotional and physical connection. The revelation was a crushing blow. I felt betrayed, disoriented, and devastated. The trust one had placed in Laura crumbled in a matter of seconds. I took some time to process the information before confronting her. That night, when Laura came home, I confronted her. The discussion was intense. Laura tried to justify herself by saying that Daniel was providing her with something that I couldn't offer at the time. She was looking for something that would give her a sense of excitement and newness in her life. Laura burst into tears, begging me not to leave her. She said she had realized her mistake and was willing to do whatever it took to save our marriage. She asked for time to prove to me that she could change and that her feelings for Daniel were not true. The pain and confusion led me to a difficult decision. I told her that I needed time to think and process everything that had happened. Over the next few weeks, Laura tried everything she could to win back my trust. She attended couples counseling and committed to being completely transparent. However, every time I tried to rebuild my trust in her, new details about her relationship with Daniel would emerge. What once appeared to be an isolated mistake was turning into a series of covert lies. At first, I thought we could move past this, but the reality was that the wounds were deep. Every time I looked at Laura, I was reminded of the betrayals and the lies. The image of the younger man she had been involved with haunted me constantly. We decided to attend couples therapy, and although the initial session was promising, the underlying issues were still present. The therapist helped us talk about our feelings and understand the reasons behind our actions. Laura tried to take responsibility for her actions, but the truth is that broken trust could not be rebuilt overnight. In the sessions, Laura revealed that her relationship with Daniel had started as a friendship that had grown into something more. As the relationship progressed, Daniel began to fill a void that Laura felt in her life. Although Laura said her feelings for Daniel had faded, the fact that she had crossed that line was something she could not easily forget. The situation came to a head when I discovered that Laura had had one last conversation with Daniel. At that moment, I felt completely betrayed. Despite her efforts to change, I found it hard to believe that I could really put what had happened behind me. Laura, in desperation, asked me to consider the good times we had shared and the life we had built together. She begged that we would not let one infidelity destroy everything we had built. She told me that she was willing to fight for our marriage and do everything she could to prove to me that she could change. After much reflection and discussion, I made the decision to separate. It was not an easy choice, and I did not want to take it lightly. I knew that a separation would be painful for both Laura and me, but I felt it was the best thing for both parties. I could not continue in a relationship where trust had been broken in such a fundamental way. Laura was devastated by the decision. She tried her best to convince me that the separation was not necessary and tried to remember all the happy times we had shared. But ultimately, she felt that the damage was irreversible. The separation was not easy, and the days that followed were filled with pain and adjustment. Laura and I began to live separately, and although life went on, the process of healing and rebuilding our lives was arduous. Despite our differences, we will always remember the good times we shared, and although the betrayal left scars, we both learned valuable lessons about trust and love. Laura moved on with her life, trying to find a way to move on and heal from her own wounds. For me, it took time to get over the pain and begin to rebuild my life. The experience changed us profoundly, and although the ending was not what we had hoped for, we both came out stronger and with a deeper understanding of what it means to love and be loved. What I learned from this experience is that betrayal is something not to be taken lightly. Trust is a fundamental pillar in any relationship, and once it is broken, the rebuilding process can be very complicated. Although my story has a painful ending, I hope it serves as a warning about the importance of communication and honesty in any relationship. Thank you for listening to my story. If you are going through a similar situation, remember that seeking professional help and making decisions based on honesty and mutual respect can be crucial to finding the best path forward.